Good day everyone and welcome back to another chapter of Biddy and Miley's story. We see her getting up on the 13th, an early morning for Biddy, and she does this every morning. She gets up, pops at the hole and takes in the world before heading off. So what we see in the next couple of days is Biddy pretty much finishing the nest cup building. So the nest cup is pretty much complete. She starts bringing in more and more feathers, but the actual nesting activity goes down as it's nearing completion. So she really only comes and does a bit of work in the early morning to afternoon, and then goes off for the rest of the day to feed. And this would make sense, as if it's coming close to egg laying time, she needs to build up some reserves, as it's a huge toll on her little body to produce an egg every day. And they produce quite a big clutch, blue tits. It can be anywhere from what I've seen about 5 or 6 eggs right up to 11 or 12. And I've even seen more than that, but that's when 2 females are occupying one nest. I've only seen it a couple of times, and never in my own nest, only on other online nesting series, where 2 females would actually take up residence and share a nest. Very rare occasion, but it actually does happen. We can see Biddy here bringing more and more soft material in, and that nest cup is really starting to look quite cozy. She brought in a lot of soft material that day, and you can see her bedding down on the 13th at around 7:30, but not for long, as she's straight up the next day at around 6 o'clock and starting again and bringing in ever softer material. And she still brings in some moss and grass. She hasn't completely turned her back on them yet, but she's weaving that softer material into that nest cup, so it'll be nice and cozy for those eggs. I see what I think is animal hair, and I really hope it's animal hair. I'd be a little nervous for her doing what she did last year, but I suppose we're at the mercy of Biddy and how she constructs her nest. But we won't worry about that now. So what's Biddy planning to do in the coming days up to egg laying? So different birds lay eggs in different ways. Blue tits would have a delayed incubation. They will lay an egg a day up until their clutch is complete. And when their clutch is complete, they will then start incubating them all at once. And this ensures that all the eggs hatch within a day of each other, which is very important for blue tits, as they want all their eggs to hatch at the same time. And what this does, it ensures that there's at least not a runt of the litter, or at least reduces the chances of there being a significant runt in the litter. And it will also ensure that all the eggs have the equal chance of running into the emergence of all the caterpillars and little critters that the blue tits feed on this time of year, and indeed feed their young. And indeed it also affects the fledging, so all the chicks will fledge in and around the same day when they actually leave the nest, and this again ensures that they all stick together and increases the chances of survival of them all as a whole. And we can see Biddy here tucking in for the night. I love how they curl up and fluff up like that. It's very cute. We can see Miley pops in every so often to check in on how things are going. And we can see Biddy here back at it on the 15th. And we can see just how softer that nest is than it was at the start of the video. The nest cup construction is pretty much complete, and it's really just dressing it up now and making it soft for the eggs. So the nest really isn't too far from being completed. And that brings us to a period in the nest box series, or the nest box season, that again I always love to see. When will the first egg appear? I don't think it's going to be too far away. I think it's going to be pretty soon, in the next coming days, and maybe in the next video there may just be an egg. Now don't hold me to that. If the weather changes, things can change, and they can decide to delay the egg laying. And she will have to, as I said, build up reserves. As it stands, I remember reading once that I don't think blue tits actually have enough calcium in their body to make the eggs every day. They have to go out and eat big quantities of calcium. And this can include snail shells or anything like that to help produce those eggs every day. So what exactly is going to happen once she starts laying those eggs? So as I said, she'll lay one a day until her clutch is complete. And how do you know when a clutch is complete? Well, you'll know when she starts incubating them. She'll sit in the eggs and she will just not leave them. She will sit in them for about 13 to 14 days until they start hatching, and that's when the real fun begins. They have to start feeding those little hungry mouths. So it's a huge marathon for her to sit in a nest for that length of time. But they do it every year, and the male will come in and out during that period and also feed her. We can see Biddy here doing some finishing touches on her nest. And as I said at the start of the video, her nesting activity has actually decreased in recent days. She comes in early morning and afternoon, but then she checks in throughout the day, but doesn't really stay for too long. She comes in, maybe brings in the odd feather or two, but she will stay away from the nest, and I would imagine feeding and just stocking up on reserves. But then she comes in at around 7 o'clock every evening and is settled down for the night. She does her last few shuffles trying to make sure that nest cup stays in a nice cup shape, and you can see that it is a real soft nest in there. It's going to be a nice cozy place for those eggs, and I for one is very much looking forward to seeing these little chicks this year. As I always find, watching nature is a great respite from what's going on in the world and what's going on out there. That no matter what is happening, there's always these little lives and indeed these little stories being told all across the country. And, well, that just makes me rest assured. Something I've been noticing is Miley arriving early in the morning. You see Biddy here going to sleep on the 15th and Miley arriving on the 16th bright and early, and the nighttime camera is still on. And he's up trying to wake Biddy, and you can see Biddy is just having none of it. She's quite snoozy in there. Why wouldn't she? She's made a lovely little bed for herself. And if I was her, I wouldn't want to leave that bed either, especially at that hour. But we see her eventually leaving, and she's back an hour later to do some work on the nest, bringing in a few pieces of feathers, and you can see her really pushing it into the nest to ensure that those eggs and chicks only feel the softest things that she can find in the world. And this is bringing us near the end of this video. And we can see Miley checking in every so often. Biddy, he's always around when she's in the nest. He's never straying too far. Usually pops over to the peanut feeder and has a little feed while they're waiting. And then afterwards, Biddy will come out and arrive. So I don't think we're going to be waiting too long for these eggs. I saw just yesterday, that would be the 18th to you and me. I actually saw Biddy and Miley mating on the tree outside the nest box. So I just happened to be looking out when they were hopping in and out, and they did proceed to mate. So it'll be interesting to see how soon after that we see an egg. So hopefully all that to come in the next video or so. I'd really love to see these eggs arriving. So as always guys, thanks for watching. And if you are enjoying the video, please like and subscribe. And indeed, if you are feeling super generous, give it a share on your Facebook page or something like that, as it will help me reach more people and it means a lot to me. So as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.